Hey everyone, an interesting, straight to the point question today. What is the ego? And if it's not what I am, what am I? Well, yeah. The ego, it comes from the Latin for I, and it was really coined as a psychological term by Freud, um, to refer to the conscious mind, really. But it has evolved in meaning, and it's evolved in this conversation how we refer to it, because what it has come to mean really, ego is everything that is contained, conscious and subconscious, in this representation of me, this mental um, framework that represents who I am. And so what we can see by that is that it's a on the surface it's a conscious reference. There's a word for it. When we say when I say Claire, when I say me, there are things that come to mind, and there's a clear focal point in conversation, in representations of the future, in conversations about the past, when we're referring to the I, what that means. But what we can consider in through this conversation about self and reality is that this conscious representation of I, this sort of stand-in for me, a framework that represents me but which isn't me, originates in childhood and starts to accumulate all the conscious and unconscious associations with that I. So as this sponge-like child brain is navigating the world, it's forming rules. And these rules are about survival, really. And these rules are being formed increasingly as the child gets older from a perspective of a me and how I have to be to survive in the world, what I need to do to have security, have attention, have love, have my place in this group, in this family, and then as it gets older, to be worthy, to have validity, to be someone, to have purpose. And it's an accumulation of everything that is acquired by the mind in terms of what it means to be me. And so therefore it it contains in it all of the all of the aspects of self-development that have been acquired um, through fear, really, through shocks to the system, through um, things coming in that threaten our survival, initially our physical survival, life or death, and then our survival as someone that people want to have around, because again, for a social animal like a human that is so dependent, not having that social group is a threat to survival. And these shocks, these violences really are acquired within this accumulated sense of what we are. And that becomes the lens through which everything is experienced. So when it's an unquestioned structure of belief of what I am, and it's precarious, it's built on a basis of insecurity, of defense and fear and shame and worry. That's the lens through which all interactions, all relationships, everything is viewed. And so it tends to be that through that lens, which the same is seen. Whatever I believe myself to be is seen out there as a reflection, not knowingly as a reflection. But it can't be any other way, because the lens of perception is this ego lens, really, an ego lens of insecurity and need, a continual need to secure the life and death of this self, secure the life of this self. So that's the ego, and it's really interesting because it's there and not there at the same time. So this is the paradox. A lot of people, a lot of spiritual teachers, talking about the greatest ego preoccupation is with the ego, is in trying to get rid of the ego, because from the perspective of insecurity, of vulnerability, I want to find peace, I want to be happy, so I feel like I have to get rid of my ego in order to find that. But and that's the irony, because the more effort there is in trying to find peace, find happiness through getting rid of this ego lens, the more the ego lens is reinforced. So it's there in the sense that it's filtering all experience, it's replicating all beliefs, it's maintaining this dream structure of what we are, of what other people are. And at the same time, it can disappear in a heartbeat, because it doesn't exist anywhere. There's no entity, there's no reality to it, there's no substance to it. It's just a creation of patterns, really, of patterns of belief. And so that brings us to what we really are, which is the awareness of that. And this is really interesting then, because the moment it becomes aware, or we're aware that we think, that there's awareness of a mind creating, then it's clear. Those thoughts are not what we are. Those reactions are not us. There is something far more profound, far more constant, permanent, infinite, absolute, which is the witnessing space to all of this. It's the space in which this dream of self and dream of separate others arises. Yeah. And then it's interesting when we think, well, what is this I? Because there is a ongoing association with this body, isn't it? This body, not any other bodies, but this one. There's an ongoing consistency of viewpoint. And so we can start to see that the awareness, the consciousness, the beingness, the presence has a localization within this form. This is the form through which the world is explored, through which sensory experiences are happening. So and I think this is really lovely, because it doesn't deny that there's an association, a localization. And really that is, I think we could say, is what the I is this, the purest, most intimate, most real meeting of formless and form. The consciousness experiencing the world through this body, the sensations experienced here, but then anything else beyond that starts to become an invention of mind, doesn't it? A creation of belief, an unquestioned identity of what we are. Yeah, so thank you. Great question. Bye.